Well, I did not expect the response that I got to that Unplugged video a few days ago where I was talking about Disney's physical media situation. And some of the comments that I got back were rather troubling. And I also have a follow-up to another chunk of that video, which is the main reason I'm doing this video. But I wanted to address some of those comments first. There seemed to be a good number of people who didn't understand why I had bootlegs of various MCU shows like Moon Knight and Hawkeye and all the others that I showed. Like, one of the ones that caused the most grief for some people was this She-Hulk disc. And they didn't ask it from the perspective of, oh my gosh, why do you have bootlegs of things? It's so wrong, or whatever. That, which I would have thought that would have been their gripe. But no. They were asking it like it was a laughable crime to have these items at all. In other words, they were smarter than anybody who would have something like this. The video's point was to illustrate how easy it is to get Disney Plus content without owning a subscription to Disney Plus. That was the point of the video. And somehow you guys just, not all of you, but the guys that I'm addressing right now, you guys just completely went past that. Either you were too fixated on trying to be clever or be glib or do your little hate dance or whatever. That was the point. The point was simply, and I do emphasize simply, and you guys missed it anyway, look how easy it is to get Disney Plus content without having a Disney Plus subscription. Nothing has stopped that ability. Nothing. Disney has no control over any of it. And instead, you guys couldn't get out of your own way, and you're like, God, I can't believe you would even have She-Hulk. Oh my God. Well, I'm glad that you think you're smarter than everybody else because you watched some angry YouTuber, talk about how they thought the show was horrible, and you having no Disney Plus account, and that therefore, I don't have a Disney Plus account. But guess what? I was trying to prove a point that you missed. And instead, you got fixated on having to stoke the flames of your hate for television shows. But it went a step further. And look, the point of my video wasn't about whether or not this show is good or bad. The point of my video was about whether or not you could get it outside of Disney Plus. My opinion about these shows and your opinion about these shows in that regard is irrelevant. But let's address the next little bit of commentary there that came in through the comments, which was really disturbing. They took it a step further because they said, and I want to make sure that I express this properly. They said that Disney mistreating the consumer is what fans of these shows deserve. In other words, they deserve what they get when it comes to the way Disney Corporation treats all of us. Let's forget the fact that there's a lot of other Disney created and or owned, thanks to the Fox acquisition, there's a lot of other content that's locked up that this current regime at Disney had nothing to do with, but they are holding the keys to that kingdom. So, by extension, they are mistreating all the consumers by denying them choice. But some of you guys decided that we're going to conflate this hatred for the current state of the MCU into, and oh, anything those guys do to you, Bob Iger and those people, more power to them, because I don't like your opinion about a television show. And when I say your, I don't mean mine, because I didn't express my opinion. They were going after everybody who might have enjoyed Falcon and the Winter Soldier or Loki or one of these shows. I'm always honest, but I gotta be really honest here. That is a really scary perspective to take. Because what it's doing is it's bypassing all logic and willfully ignoring the source of the problem. Because as I stated, and other videos have stated on this, people who are actually in the know in Hollywood who have been on live streams and stated this, the writer and actor strike, which these guys love to say, these guys who jump my crap about having this stuff, they love to say that, the writers and the actors are getting what they deserve because they write bad movies and they act in these bad movies. The movies lately have been bad. I've been one of the people saying that. I'm doing this mega review right now on Indiana Jones 5. It's probably going to be over 3 hours long when it gets done. It's coming out in the next few weeks. And I hated that movie. Absolutely hated that movie. But I don't understand why so many people can't draw the line between the actors and the writers are taking their marching orders from the executives who are now refusing to come back to the table because they want to eliminate all those people in favor of AI, that they will also then give directives to. Now, Iger is the real culprit here. The other studios aren't wanting to go as hard line on the AI implementation. Bob Iger, of course, being the head of the worst company in this whole equation. That's what he's wanting to do. And I've seen you guys in the comments of both my videos and other videos cheering that man on to stick it to the writers and the actors. Did you not hear what these channels in the know have been saying? Nothing will change unless the people at the top are gone. You do understand how the French Revolution worked, right? Nothing changed until the people at the top were guillotined, okay? Eliminating the writers and the actors. Oh, sure, the writers and the actors, writers especially, aren't very good, but they were hired by those executives. Those executives are the ones that told the rest of their company, these are the kind of writers we want, these are the kind of people we approve. If I don't like this script, you're going to jettison it and get another guy to write a new one. So eliminating the writers and the actors from this equation is not going to change anything if the people at the top are not changed out. But you guys have taken on this mentality of, if you don't agree with me about the quality of a television show or movie from these studios, you deserve what happens to you, and so do those writers and actors. Go executive CEO guy. You're literally cheering that guy on when he's the actual problem. He's the one in charge. The buck stops with him. And especially when it comes to the way you guys have talked about other people in the fan base who like this stuff or whatever, saying you guys deserve what you get when a company mistreats you because you like something that I don't like. I think this thing is dumb, therefore if you like it, I'm glad the company is treating all of us badly because of you. That's like saying I always knew that guy was a murderer, so I'm sorry that your family member was murdered, but they deserved it because I knew they were a murderer and your family member didn't. Or, I always knew that nation was belligerent, so if your country got invaded, you deserved it. Mistreating the consumer by enacting draconian control, like overreaching control over the media and the products to try and force consumers to pay monthly draws and all that kind of stuff, is a separate issue from whether or not you think shows like this are any good. Because it's going to affect you at the same time. I'm sure there are people who are looking at my background right now of all this media, and they're seeing movies and things that they don't like, and they're immediately about to jump into the comments and say, "Oh my God, I can't believe you own that." Newsflash, there are more people in the world besides me. I happen to be married. I have another person in my life who has her own tastes and her own interests, as well as both of us being very curious people. We like to watch things that aren't necessarily things either of us like. We like to see how those things will affect us, how we will laugh over them and riff over them, or even we both even have genuine different interests in media. I live with different people. Meaning I have different people in my life, and I live with a different person, a person who is different from me. Therefore, she has every right to have access to her media that she wants to absorb, enjoy, or study, as I would. Like, just because I don't like The Notebook, as an example, and that's not even a movie that Melinda has ever expressed any interest in, but I'm using it as an example. Just because I don't like The Notebook doesn't mean that I think The Notebook shouldn't be available on physical media for people to study and access. And it certainly doesn't mean that I think the people who like The Notebook should be mistreated by the company that made it. That's insane. It's a terrible take. It's an absolutely terrible take. Let's use this one as an example. Did I like the show Miss Marvel? No. I do not like this show. Neither did Melinda, as a matter of fact. We both did not like this show. We thought the show was very poorly made. Do we have Disney Plus? No. Did we decide, hey, before you do that video about, how easy it is to acquire Disney Plus material, let's check this out? Sure. So we popped the shrink wrap on this one and we watched it, and it was bad. Does that mean that we want people who liked it to be mistreated by the company? Does that mean that we want people who liked it to not have access to a Blu-ray for their shelf officially? They have to go through all these hoops to get one through other channels? No, I don't. Do I wish that Disney would make better quality content? Yes, I do. I've said it a million times. But that is a separate issue from being happy about people being mistreated in the marketplace over anything. Some of you guys got to get your heads right. I don't understand why some people are why they lean into enjoyment in a kind of cruelty towards other people, but they're clearly wired that way, and it's not a good scenario. And for those of you who fail to be observant, a lot of the ones that I showed off they're not even out of the shrink wrap because they were to showcase the whole point of the video. But like I've said a million times, most fans, whether they're angry at companies like Disney or they're happy with companies like Disney, a lot of fans aren't good at details. They're not good at noticing them. Now, on to the other follow-up. So the other follow-up from that video is the whole Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny CD soundtrack. Now, to address the first question there, which was in the comments, why on earth would you want the soundtrack from a movie that was so bad? Well, it's John Williams. It's also his last score. And it's the last Indiana Jones score. And I'm a physical media guy. I didn't like the Star Wars prequels. I have the music from those films because the music was very, very good. I don't like the movie E.T. Love the score. I have the John Williams score for E.T. I shouldn't have to explain myself beyond that. I shouldn't have to explain that at all, nor should you have to even ask that question if you're being reasonable. Like we just established, there's no reason to grill somebody on why they would reach out for a specific piece of media. Whether they like it or hate it, they have their reasons for going out and grabbing it. just as a final example to that, I had not seen any of the Mission Impossible films past the second one, but I wanted to catch up, so I went out and bought them all on disc and watched them all. Some of them were entertaining, and some of them I thought were kind of... But that's how I consume media, and I'm okay with doing that, because that's how I gain access to it. And then I have it for my library, and I can go back and use it in a video, because I now have the source material to go and use in a video if I need a clip or whatever. In the case of Dial of Destiny, my initial reasoning for wanting it was, as I explained, I am not only a John Williams enthusiast, but I'm also, as you know, a major Indiana Jones person. And so, like, even with films I did not like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, here is the CD that I got back in 2008. This is the original John Williams soundtrack. I have every major release, barring the LPs, I have every major release of every Indiana Jones soundtrack. Here's the original Last Crusade soundtrack on CD. Here's the 1994 Raiders re-release that I got in 1994. Here is the mega set from 2008 that was put together by Concord and includes the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull CD I just showed you. Here is the original Temple of Doom CD soundtrack from back in the day. These are, let's see, this one right here is the original CD for Raiders of the Lost Ark. And these right here are some very well-known but not as easy to access bootleg expanded soundtracks that were produced in Australia. So here's the Raiders one, here's the Temple of Doom one, Last Crusade, and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The Dial of Destiny disc was something I wanted for my library, regardless of whether or not the film was good. And I wanted it as physical media. Now, in the wake of all the backlash that I talked about at Disney Music Emporium over them screwing that whole thing up, they suddenly announced, and I didn't get the announcement through them, I got it through an Indiana Jones group that I'm part of on Facebook. They said, Disney has released a second batch of the CD for Dial of Destiny for pre-order. They assumed because of the backlash, but there's no confirmation on that because Disney will never admit to anything. This particular description in this link that they posted says that it's limited to one per customer and quantities are limited. So now this time they're saying it's limited. So I saw that on my phone. So I get up, I go over to my computer, and I pull up the website. I type in Indiana Jones, it doesn't come up. The CD does not come up. The LP comes up, the CD does not, which I thought was hilarious. I type in John Williams, search results come up, no CD for Dial of Destiny, but the LP comes up. I search Dial of Destiny, no CD comes up, the LP comes up. I go to my Facebook on my computer, I click the link that was in the Indiana Jones group, and suddenly the page comes up. So they stealth released a second batch of those CDs, deliberately or accidentally, because they forgot or deliberately withheld putting that search result on their Disney Music Emporium website. The CD sells out again in less than 24 hours. Guess what's still up there as of this morning? The LP. And all those people on my last video who were like, people buy LPs, they don't buy CDs anymore. They just buy LPs. They don't even, and some people were like, they don't buy physical media anymore. God, what are you talking about? Get in the future. We wouldn't be having these conversations and Disney wouldn't be pulling these shenanigans if that were true. It's a chicken or the egg thing. Oh, people don't buy physical media anymore. Clearly they do because there's a market for it on the, these corporations love to sit there and go, well, People don't buy that stuff anymore. Yeah, they're not buying it because you're not providing it. Why is there a huge LP section in Walmart and Target right now and Best Buy? Because you guys all decided at the corporate level, oh my God, let's start making LPs again. Her. Oh, forget all this other stuff. We'll just have all the other stuff be digitally accessed. But like I said, Melinda just got a cassette today. A brand new cassette from one of her favorite bands because that was the only way they were releasing the album, which is crazy to think about, but they did. And so she had to get a cassette. Are we really going to sit here and say that cassettes are necessarily a hot seller right now? No, hardly anybody makes them anymore. Until the companies pardon my mispronunciation, until the companies start or stop making a thing, people do or don't have access to it. We moved on from cassettes to CDs because CDs were better quality. That was undeniable. They were more user-friendly, and they were better quality, and they were portable. That's why people moved from LPs to 8-tracks and cassettes, by and large. And then CDs finally supplanted LPs' existence in the marketplace. LPs are now a novelty. They are not easy to necessarily import. They are not easy to copy digitally and archive for yourselves. I know there are some hipsters that do it. They've rigged up their computers to bring the audio in and capture it and all that stuff because they like the pops and hisses, which is, again, great, whatever. But the CD was sacrificed on the altar of digital music. These companies opted to stop selling as many CDs to try and make digital music successful by making it the only option people have. So to sit there and definitively say, well, the whole reason that these things aren't being made anymore is because you guys weren't buying them, people don't buy them anymore, is folly. You'd have to really dig into those numbers to find out whether or not that's actually true, or whether or not in that particular case, the companies, the corporations, were steering the marketplace in a direction where they could then make that excuse and say that and kill the format so they could have more control over digital-only delivery systems. They've done this before in the entertainment industry. You know how many times on television broadcasters deliberately moved shows to like Friday night or some other night where they knew it would be death for them, so they wouldn't have to make the show anymore that they didn't want to make, even though the ratings at its original time slot were saying this show is just fine, it's very popular, and the execs had, a stick up their ass about that show. It's happened many times throughout television history, and they've gone, put it on Friday night and let it die, and then we'll tell people nobody was watching it anyway. Oh, nobody was buying CDs. When I hear a corporation say that, I because of the television stuff, I'm immediately like, oh, really? Because now I don't trust you. And in the case of the Dial of Destiny CD, I think it's pretty safe to say that, especially for orchestrated score enthusiasts and soundtrack enthusiasts and John Williams enthusiasts, they want their physical media copy. And it seems like a lot more people want it for their CD collection than that LP that they're putting out, because that's what corporations are jerking off to right now, is the LP. The LP is a novelty fad right now. The CD is archival, and that's what a lot of people want. And the CD for Dial of Destiny has now sold out twice, despite Disney's inept decisions in that regard both times. The LP, still there. But hey, you guys keep sitting there telling me what the real deal is. You guys keep, throwing your angry comments at me about movies that I happen to have to make a point and movies that I happen to have that you don't like. Like, I don't care if you like or don't like a thing, and I don't care to tell you if I like or don't like a thing. I'm trying to make a point here with this, and as far as the Dial of Destiny CD goes, it's just further proof that Disney doesn't know how to save itself. I'm going to get back to this Indiana Jones 5 review. I hope all of you out there on social media. Have a great day, and I will see you on the next video.